Welcome to Fluido Moments, our podcast series where we will talk about what's it like to be a Fluidian, what we do every day, and what our culture is all about. This is your backstage pass to all things Fluido. Welcome to Fluido Moments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is our podcast series on all things Fluido, how we work at Fluido, our culture, the things that we do here. And today we're going to talk about career stories and learning and getting into just working at Fluido. So I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves in a moment and tell us your stories. For the listeners, I'm Pauliina Löyttö, head of people and culture. You both know that already, of course. But let's start with you, Kari, for no other particular reason except I'm looking at you here. So can you introduce yourself, a little bit about your background, and then your story? How did you get here? How did you start working at Fluido, and what do you do here?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So my name is Kari Poutanen, and I started at Fluido in 2018 in October. And I work as a consultant and an engagement manager here at Fluido now. I first started off here as just like a business consultant and working on projects, configuring Salesforce, and very quickly then kind of moved up into project management here because it's what I had already done in my previous work. And I've actually been more moving towards the kind of project management side and now even like program management in these very big kind of initiatives at customers. And then about half year ago or so, less than half year ago, like I started in this new position of an engagement manager, which basically means that I dedicate kind of some of my time to pre-sales work and kind of helping sales build up and mature our customers and help them kind of find projects and help other consultants find work at the customers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you end up at Fluido?
Well, it's actually thanks to a colleague, Tapani Vaurio. So we know each other from, I guess, 6 years back or something. And we met at our previous work, and we've been friends ever since. And he actually started at Fluido maybe, I think, a year before I did. And he always talked about how much he loved working here and how much like how enthusiastic he was about the culture at Fluido, and also about Salesforce, because Salesforce was something that I knew about before I came here, but I hadn't really worked with it. And then, I got to a point in my life where kind of, I wanted to switch up, kind of do something new. And, Tapani suggested to me that, why don't you just apply here? And then I did some research and I heard really good things and applied. And, I'm really happy that I got in because I've really loved, working here and working with Salesforce for the past 2.5 years.
Yeah. Time flies.
Yeah. I can't believe it's soon 3 years,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I remember when you started, actually, it's really doesn't feel like 2.5 years.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. How about you, Ellie? Tell you have a little bit of a different story.
Yes.
So how did you get here, and who are you, and how'd you get here, and what are you now?
So my name is Elli, and I started working at Fluido about 2 years ago. Yeah, time flies. It's really been 2 years in April. And I first started here as a finance assistant, only as a summer trainee. And after the summer, I can't remember if I asked or if you guys asked if I want to stay longer. And then I decided that, yes, I want to work also along my studies. So then I continued working a few times per week. And then I think for 1 year, for 1 year, I worked as a finance assistant. And then I actually moved to Lisbon to do my exchange semester. And during my stay there at Lisbon, I started to feel like maybe I would like to take a next step on my career.
Yeah, because you've graduated now, or you're graduating.
Yes, I'm graduating in a few months. So I started to think that now that I've been here for almost 2 years and I've seen the work life of consultants, and I thought that maybe that would be a good next step for me. And I asked if there would be a possibility for me to take the next step. And lucky me, there was a spot for me. And now I just started to learn junior consultant stuff. And at the moment, I am shadowing the experts we have here and learning from everyone. And hopefully we'll have my first project soon. So I'm very excited.
Yeah. So kind of coming from school.
Yeah.
And then you coming with already a little bit more background, and then the career stories here at Fluido are unique for everyone in that way. So Kari, let me ask then about kind of, you've been here 2.5 years now. So how has it been if we think about your onboarding or your learning the ropes at Fluido? So tell me a little bit about that. How has it been for you?
Yeah, sure. So right off when I started, what I really liked was the Fluido of Friend concept, because I was lucky to have a really good Fluido of Friend, and we still work a lot together.
So sorry to interrupt. Can you tell our listeners what is the Fluido of Friend?
Fluido of Friend, yeah, sure.
Because we all know.
Sure, yeah, sorry. So a Fluido of Friend is basically someone who is already working at Fluido, and he gets paired up with a new employee, and every new employee gets a Fluido of Friend. And the job of that Fluido of Friend is to make sure that basically you get kind of a good, nice start, that you understand how the culture works here, you understand how we do things, what is the Fluido way of working, that they understand that how what the values are, and how we actually in our everyday work and everyday life kind of realize those values, and just to get really familiar and make sure that they settle in well. And yeah, that was really nice, because I always had that kind of one person that I could go to with any questions basically. And it really helped kind of get up to speed really quickly. Yeah, I think even as I am, I've been here longer, obviously I already know well how things work here, but even still I think there's this nice culture here at Fluido that, because we have a really flat organization. Basically, you have access to anyone here, when you're working, even in other offices. So even today, if I run into any kind of issue where, I don't know how I should do something, I find that it's really easy always to kind of find someone to help me and to kind of, help guide me. And now I'm also in a position that even though I'm not a Fluido friend, I still work with new people. But now I kind of also get to kind of give back and help people do things like, how do we manage a project in Fluidoforce, our own Salesforce, and things like that.
Yeah.
So
there's always something to teach, and there's always something to learn.
There is, yeah. It's this kind of cycle of, cycle of learning and also being able to teach others then. And I think that's a really nice part of the culture here as well, because people are really, really willing to kind of give, their time if someone just asks.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Elli, now I know you've been in that other previous role here for a while, so you knew the culture coming in and into this junior consultant role that you have now, but you knew the culture and all of that, so it was a little bit easier for you probably.
Yeah.
But if we think about now you shadowing a more senior person now for a while, What kind of things are you learning?
Well, before when I worked as a finance assistant, for example, I didn't really need to go to actual meetings or to interact with customers face to face. It was more contacting them by emails or sometimes call, but very, very rarely. So just starting with the meetings, I'm just sitting there listening how it actually works, what you can say and what you cannot say for a customer, and how everything works before and after meetings. It's very, very interesting, and I have lots to learn, but luckily I have the professionals to follow now.
Yeah, you have some pretty senior people you're learning the ropes from.
Yes.
Who have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience.
But I'm very happy that whoever I've been asking, like, hey, can I come to this meeting with you? They're like super open and like, yes, of course. And like, it gives me like a lot of confidence, and like,
there's lots of ways to learn, obviously. So we can, we can read and we can go to trainings and all those. But I personally like learning by doing and then being in projects. How about you? Kari, what's your kind of?
Yeah, I guess I'm a bit of both. I mean, I think it's like some things it's really hard to learn just by reading about them. I mean, really, and you really have to kind of get into the projects and do them. At least for me, for instance, just thinking about how you work with Salesforce, how you configure Salesforce as a consultant. I mean, sure, you can do your trailheads and you can read about how you configure Salesforce, but ultimately, I mean, it's going to be pretty difficult for you to consult the customer unless you have actually done the things yourself and know how Salesforce actually works. And but I agree with Ellie that when I first started, it was really, really nice that I was always able to kind of get into these meetings and these projects, and I was actually quite lucky that my Fluido of Friend as well like made sure that I had customer meetings, and he would even talk to other people to make sure or ask them if I could come to a meeting or something like that.
Yeah, because you don't really get into the swing of things just by sitting in the office and
No, you don't, and sometimes it's hard for you also to know that, okay, how much can I like push myself to these client meetings, but it makes it a lot easier if someone is just like pulling you there and saying, hey, why don't you come over and see this.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to be like proactive and like ask if you can join, and I think when you ask what I've been learning, I think the best thing is that when I've been going to the meetings and after the meeting, there's always someone that I can go sit next with, and then we can go through what we just heard on the meeting, what we went through there. And then in the best case, we can already do some small configuration right after that, or that someone else is doing and I'm sitting there and next to her, or and then maybe doing myself also something little. So I think it's very nice when you go to a meeting, you get the context, and then you can try it afterwards. And for example, I already went on an admin course and I found it very important and very much information. But I think now after the admin course, when I've actually like already talked to customers and seen some projects, it's easier to also like when you get the context, it's easier to learn stuff.
Yeah, and customers are very much welcoming us as well, to be not like we push ourselves into those meetings, because there's value in it also.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I have yet to actually be in a situation where the customer has said, no, we don't want that person here.
We don't want an extra.
We don't want an extra. Yeah, exactly. That
extra brain or extra pair of eyes or extra ideas onto the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, from my experience, every time when I'm in a meeting and if my colleagues are mentioning for the customer, like, hey, by the way, we have Ellie here. She's shadowing the meetings and learning. They've been super welcoming. Like, oh, that's so cool. Welcome to consultant life. Are you sure you want to really start your career in consultant? And I'm like, yes.
Yes. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah. So then let's talk about our values a little bit and the way we work in relation to this kind of learning and the career paths that we have and the career journeys that you have.
Sure.
So Kari, going back to when you started, we are, I like to think, and I know we are a very value-led company. But how does that show in your work and the way that you?
Well, as a project manager, my way of working is that I usually delegate a lot, and I usually give a lot of responsibility to individual consultants or architects or other people on my team, because I think that is the kind of most efficient way of working usually in the types of projects that I do anyway. And I think one of the values that we have is friends don't let friends down. And I think that really shows quite strongly here because, I know that when I work in a project and I delegate things to other people, then as long as they know, the purpose and the goal of what they're supposed to achieve, I can always really trust. I have no problem at all trusting the people on my team that they will get the things done, and they will communicate with the customer, and they will make sure that we achieve the things we achieve, as long as they know what are we striving towards and what are the limitations of how they're working. So I think that is one of the things that it shows most strongly in everyday work here at Fluido. At least for me.
Yeah. I think it shows towards customers also. I would think that customers see the way that we work and our values.
Yeah, totally. I think I agree because, in the projects, I think our consultants, the way that we work and the culture that we have, it really shows towards the customer. And very quickly, the customers, they start feeling that they can depend on the people that we have working for them. They can give them tasks, and they can trust that they will get the things done in time and as agreed.
With superheroes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. And something that is a really strong and important part of Fluido.
Yeah. So what's your favorite part about working with customers, or if you had to choose one? Or
I think I personally, the part that I enjoy the most is I think the kind of really innovative types of projects that we do a lot. Because, we do a lot of different types of projects for customers. Like some projects are very kind of straightforward, that we need to deliver this thing. But then with some customers, and I'm really lucky to work in many of these projects, they are kind of just at the heart of this kind of digitalization phase for their company, like completely transforming the company and how they work. And those are the types of engagements that I enjoy the most, because there is usually a lot of freedom to do things and innovate and really think outside the box of how can I use this solution to solve this customer's business problem. And I think that is the part of work that I enjoy the most personally.
Yeah, it's finding that thing to help out the customer. And
yeah, exactly. And you can kind of go wild with the platform. You can actually really think of kind of new and innovative ways of using it.
Of using the technology. And
using the technology.
Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah. How about you, Ellie? Now having worked, what's your favorite part about working with customers right now?
Well, when I was working as a finance assistant, even though I really liked it, I sometimes missed the contact that you get with new people. I love meeting new people, so I think now I'm more able to interact with people in my everyday life when I work as a junior consultant, and I really like to help. Like when I feel like, okay, today I solved maybe someone's problem or I could be helpful. It's very rewarding, and also if now that I can work with technology and more consultant stuff, I think it's very nice too. And every time I hope when customer says like, "Thank you, Ellie, that really solved my problem," and "Thank you, you were very helpful," that makes me happy.
Yeah. I agree with that. That the go live is always like, or when you actually get the solution done and in use, that's always really rewarding.
Yeah.
But it's like actually for me, I think if I think of it from that perspective, what I enjoy most is the problem solving phase, because that is when you kind of really need to kind of figure out, okay, now the customer wants to do this, or how do I solve it actually?
I actually hear that quite a lot now, having had these Fluido moments where everybody seems to get a kick out of solving the problem. I think it's probably something that we as an organization seem to like to do.
I would say so. There's a lot of people here who enjoy that, and I think that's something that we're quite good at. When someone comes to us and asks us, how do I use the platform? Because they're always using this Salesforce. So when they ask us that, then there's always like a lot of enthusiastic people who then start trying to figure out how to do that and in the best possible way using the tools that we have. So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and it also comes up in a lot of these clips is that, and you mentioned it just there also, there's lots of enthusiastic people who come together and want to solve it. So, you ask for one Fluidian and you get 300.
Yeah, many times. I mean, and even if you don't get that 300, still it's usually like, because we use Chatter and we have these Chatter groups for the Fluido crew, which are like, places where you can just like ping people. You can ask the whole company easily, hey, I have this problem, and who has had the same problem and how did you solve it? And I find that there's always like a bunch of people who actually start typing, and even if they don't exactly know the answer, they might say that, hey, this person knows, or I did some Googling and I found the answer here. And
yeah, it's fantastic. But I was thinking we also share success. So like, I did this cool thing. We shared that on Chatter. I did this and then people learn also through that way. They don't even know they needed to know that, but something cool that somebody has come up with.
Yeah, and we have a group for that as well. Like I think like, well, look what I learned today or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think going back what Kari just mentioned, I think the environment here at Fluido, it's like, I love it because it's like every time, even though I feel like, okay, this might be a stupid question, I still have like, I could go to anyone and ask that, and the environment is so supportive and helpful, and no one leaves like you said, friends don't let friends down. I can always trust that there's someone that knows the answer, someone that is willing to help me, even though with my newbie questions. So I love it.
Yeah, no, of course, everybody's been a newbie.
Yeah,
true.
Themselves, and then of course we all have the same kind of reason we're here. So it's you want to share and you want to create customer success and have fun at work. And what else do we want to do?
deliver amazing results for customers.
Yeah. So then, of course, we do that together, right?
Yes.
Yes, very much.
So lots of things. So then, if we think about all of these kind of, or the time that you've been at Fluido, and you think about all the things that have happened to you and the experiences you've had, what's your Fluido moment?
Fluido moment. That's a good question. I guess for me, the one that kind of comes to mind is maybe the presentation that I did in Berlin around the education cloud, because I'm quite passionate myself about education cloud in Salesforce, which is their product for the higher education and other education like K-20 learning. And I've been working on that for like 2 years now, actually. And it's kind of, I'm the person at Fluido who, mostly is driving that forward in the different countries. And that event or that speech in Berlin that I did, or that presentation, it was actually kind of like the culmination of something for me, because I've been trying to build this practice and this kind of capability inside Fluido that we can actually do education cloud projects in different countries. And at that moment, we knew that we already had like a strong presence in the Nordics, because we had done many quite like big customer cases here. And then to be able to kind of present that roadmap, what we have achieved, and being able to kind of also educate Fluidians, because there were a lot of people in that room about what we are doing, because not that many were aware at that point. That was like, something that has stuck with me, I think.
Yeah. It was a good talk.
Yeah. It was really, really like a nice engagement, and there were a lot of questions, and I think Alexandra actually came and had to drive me from the room because the next one was coming already in. So
Yeah.
But it was my fault because there was just so many questions, So.
And it's something you're passionate about.
Yes.
I know it's your thing, the education cloud,
Yes.
and working with our customers from that sector, right?
Yes. Yeah. I pretty much work in all the engagements. Yeah. And I work in all the pre-sales engagements as well.
Yeah. So of course you want to take the stage and talk about it.
Yes. Yeah. Because exactly. Because I think it's also like really important for everyone here to know like how much it's just not a thing that we do in Finland, or just a small thing with a few customers. It's actually like quite a big thing, and getting bigger all the time.
Yeah, in all of our countries. And
yes, yeah, exactly.
Cool. So Elli, what is your Fluido moment?
I think it's hard to pick one, since I think I get this Fluido moments almost every day, like with my colleagues or with everyone that I meet here. But personally, I think my Fluido moment was when we decided that I can continue or I can start doing consultant stuff. It made me feel like, okay, you go, girl, you have done something right. They like you, they want to keep you here. So I was very proud of myself. And I was super happy that my journey here at Fluido would continue, and I could really take the next step. So that was the big moment for myself. But as I mentioned, I think here we all get these Fluido moments every day. It can be just a single coffee break at the cafe we have, and you have a nice conversation with someone, or you listen to a nice song on the radio there and have a small dance session with someone, or whatever. It's just, I think it's almost every day.
Yeah, that's true. It can be any small moment.
Yeah.
And one of our values is work must be fun. So take those small moments and make them into a big experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we also have a website that we've come up with, fluidomoments.com, where you can see this clip and all the others that we have done. So go check that out. And thank you very much, Kari and Elli, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Has been a really fun conversation again.
Yes.
Yes.